welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. Today we are doing my monthly wrap up, which will include the books I've read, the things I've wrote, and some personal life tidbits, just to kind of keep you guys in the know of what's going on in my life and what I've been up to, in case it doesn't make it into a vlog, which, spoiler alert, I didn't really vlog much in the month of June. The vlogging that I did won't be coming out until later dates, so sorry about that. But because we have a lot to go over, let's just jump into it. So in the month of June, I read and completed 4 books. I'm gonna start with the book I have the most to stay on, just so I kind of keep this moving. And that was A Tragic Kind of Wonderful by Eric Lindstrom. This is a young adult contemporary where our main character, whose name is Mel Hannigan, has just recently come back to school after taking a year off and doing cyber school, and they moved to a new area just a couple years earlier after the death of her brother. And Mel has been keeping a lot of secrets from her friends because they have a family history of bipolar, and in the year Mel took off from school, she was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder and had been really struggling with her mental health. But she does not want her friends to know, so because she doesn't want her friends to know, she kind of like creates all these elaborate lies about her life. And throughout this novel, which is a very quick read, those lies start to be found out because a lot of other, like between her friends and her family, there's just a lot going on. And this is really like a journey for Mel to come to terms with her diagnosis and actually be honest with her friends so that she can actually have their support and friendship in her time of need. So I really wanted to read this book because, one, teenage bipolar is not something that I personally would diagnose, but I understand that there are a lot of professionals out there that unfortunately will diagnose bipolar early. Our manual that we use to diagnose people basically says you can't be diagnosed as a kid or like a young adult. Like, it usually starts to form once your brain fully forms, so your early 20s, but people do it all the time. I give this book a small pass because there is a catalyst for Mel's diagnosis, and I get with the family history why, if I was looking as a professional, why the link to bipolar would be there. I would still personally caution and be like, there's a high likelihood that it's bipolar disorder, but we're gonna keep an eye on it and still treat the symptoms and kind of figure out like where this is going. They just went ahead and diagnosed him bipolar, and even though it's not what I would professionally do, I still think the topic was handled very well and that it is a relatively honest look at bipolar. I actually learned something new in this book. I cannot remember the name of the specific symptom off the top of my head, but basically it is when somebody who with bipolar disorder is experiencing both mania and depression at the same time. As a clinician, I have never actually heard of this term, so I was very fascinated by learning about it and how dangerous that could possibly be. The only thing I will say, and it's not even actually a criticism of this book, I really did enjoy this. I'd probably give it a 4-star. I just was curious that the author, when I looked up into like his background and history, he was diagnosed with ADHD and not bipolar. And he did, in an interview, basically said that, while they don't have the same diagnosis, there was some like symptom overlap, which is true. But I just thought it was very interesting of why he chose bipolar versus ADHD. I could not find an answer anywhere. And it doesn't look like he writes at this point. Like, he has not published anything in 6 or so years. But I would have loved to ask him like what made him go into bipolar, because it is a more serious diagnosis. And again, one that we don't see, we shouldn't really diagnose in adolescence. But with ADHD and misunderstood ADHD symptoms, like, it would have still fit if he used his own experience for this novel. So I don't know why he did it. I couldn't find an answer anywhere, but I just thought that was interesting that he was pulling from some symptoms, but obviously not having the full diagnosis. But either way, he wrote it pretty well, and I would recommend this. It could be a tough read. I didn't cry, but there was a couple times where I was like, oof. Like, some of the phrases and some of the quotes in here really got me, and I'm like, oh, I think I would have kids and like young adults who would really benefit from this book. So now that that's out of the way, I also read another book about bipolar, which was a memoir called Devout by Anna Gazmarian. This follows the person and narrator, Anna, as she kind of looks out through her life and dissects the fact that her bipolar disorder had changed the way she viewed her religion. Now, I think it doesn't say outright what her religion was, but I think it leans into a little bit more fundamentalism of Christianity. And I initially thought this book was going to be about her deconstructing her religion because of her diagnosis. And that's not actually quite what happens. It's about her redefining and rediscovering her religion after having a diagnosis. And as somebody who is not super religious in that manner, I actually found this very fascinating and a really good read. It's not necessarily I believe or I've converted after reading this, but it's really good, I think, to be open-minded and to see how someone can still utilize their faith in a positive way while going through something versus what she was experiencing at first, which was like basically everybody telling her to pray to God and he'll get rid of your bipolar, which is not helpful for somebody who's really going through a very intense diagnosis. And for Anna in particular, she was basically said that she had medication resistance bipolar, meaning that meds were not really doing anything for her. She tried quite a few different medications, went through like trials for new wave treatments and like a bunch of things, and that seemed to be the only thing that helped was when she got into those extremes. But yeah, it was just a very fascinating look at how somebody who has a pretty intense mental diagnosis, how they still can find community and peace in their religion without it like erasing the fact that they have problems and that they're suffering. So very, very, very quick read. This is under 200 pages and I liked it a lot. That's all I have to say. I then finished Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I'm not going to say much about this. I have a vlog that's going to be coming up at some point this summer talking about this book, and I don't know why I gave it 4 stars originally. I think I would give it a 3-star now. It was a fun debut, but it's definitely, I feel like, a product of its time, like the 2016, 2017, 2015, wherever it came out. It has a lot of, I feel, feelings of Hunger Games and Divergent. Like I can very much pick apart like which influences are in this book. And while I don't hate it, I had some fun with it. I have no attachment to this series because I only read the first book just a couple years ago, like 3 years ago. And I didn't grow up with the series or like wasn't invested in it. I think I would have liked it a lot more had I read it when it came out, but it was fine. I am going to continue with the series and I'm nervous because I have heard it goes places that people did not like, but we already have the second one from the library and I will be diving in a day or two to start this next one, which is, I think, is Glass Sword. So wish me well, folks, and be on the lookout for a vlog in the future with this book. And last but not least, I read Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett, and I love this series so much. Oh my gosh, I love Emily and Wendell. I love their banter. I love how, like, just, even though there are like stakes in this book, like I always just, I'm hopeful and I'm excited to see where they're gonna go because at the heart, this is just a very cozy fantasy and it fills me with such joy. This is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I am just so in this book. I can't wait for the third one. I don't know if it's the last or not, but I will be buying it immediately. And I actually just got, this is my Fairy Loot edition, which I believe, yes, is signed, and it has all these beautiful little features in it. Look at how beautiful this is. I was impatient. I just got this a week ago, and I wanted to read it, so I bought it on audio and listened to it on audio. So I love it. Honestly, the narrators are so good for that, and I really feel like I'm listening to Emily like read her journal to me. So I highly recommend the audio experience if you are looking for a good audiobook. All right, so now we're going to move into the writing, and this is probably going to be a very chaotic segment because trying to figure out what I actually did in the month of June is going to be interesting. So let's just talk about it. So in June, if you were here from me writing my vampire novel, then you might know that I took a break from writing a novel in June. My goal was to get back on July 1st to start to do my reread and my edits for my vampire novel. So in June, I really just wanted to take a break and let's just like go with the flow. So I very much decided that I was going to submit. Now, initially in the beginning of June, I had the goal of at least submitting one story. I knew me and my friend Autumn were gonna do a little challenge together, which again, that will come out in a future vlog. But I really wanted to write a story to submit and do kind of a challenge with her. So I did write one new story in the month of June, and I submitted that to Havoc. I did get a rejection back, which big sad. I was really hoping that I would be selected to write a new story for Once Upon a Book Club. I can't remember if I talked about that last month, but I definitely got rejected this month for sure. And it is what it is. I don't think the story I submitted was as strong as the story I submitted last year, which was probably my problem. And not that even the story was bad, but I think it wasn't the vibe of the Once Upon a Book Club, and I think that's probably why I didn't get very far this time. But we can't learn and we can't grow if we don't try. So we did that. And then I just went gung-ho. So after I submitted to Havoc, I celebrated Litha with my friends and I did a tarot reading, and basically it was like, stop holding back, like stop using fear as an excuse and just go for it. So I was like, all right, you asked for it. And I just went submission crazy. I spent an entire week like reviewing all of like different, like I updated all my tracking sheets. I made new tracking sheets. I was like checking out magazines to see who was open for submissions. And I submitted quite a few. I submitted 4 short stories to 4 different magazines. And then I also submitted a couple poems to 2 different poetry places. I submitted 4 poems to one that it was a quarterly anthology online. And then I submitted 3 to a queer anthology that would be upcoming if I get chosen. So maybe within this year or next year. But yeah, I just went submission crazy in the month, and I'm really excited, and I'm okay if I do get rejected. I'm expecting some rejections, but I've already had these stories polished and ready to go. So I figured, why would I not submit them? Like what am I waiting for? So that was basically most of my July, was just kind of writing, polishing, looking up things. And it kind of helped me in some way, because the other big writing endeavor I did was that I participated in the AuthorTube writing conference. I actually was invited to submit a pitch back in February, and I decided to go for it after hesitating. I actually wasn't going to do it at all. But then I was like, well, short stories are something that I've been really working hard on, and I think it's a way to get your name out there and to build some writing credits before you publish your novel and go traditionally publishing route. So I was like, yeah, let's do a thing on this. So I also spent a large chunk of June making and reworking and gathering information for my presentation. So I did a whole like slideshow with information and expertise from other people in the field. And it is on my channel, and you can go watch it. I put a lot of heart into it. It is about an hour exactly, because that was my time slot. So if you are interested in how to publish short stories, I have a how-to guide on my channel now. And I really am proud of it. I was a little nervous, but it worked out really well. And now I have that on my like check off list that I presented at a conference. So that was really fun. And while I was doing all of my prep work for that, that's where I decided to make a submission tracking sheet, because I started to submit stories that I've submitted previously to other places. And now I really want to keep track and make sure I'm following through with that, because most magazines do not accept the same story twice. So I want to make sure that if I'm excited, because I did that actually, I was submitting my poetry and I almost included a poem that I had already submitted. So I was like, ooh, let's take a seat back and let's not do that. But that was kind of my reasoning for making that. So if you're interested to know about short stories and my knowledge on them, please go check out that video. And then really the only last thing I did with writing was that I did print my manuscript out so I can start writing it, marking it up, making notes, and getting ready to edit Vampire, which I am really excited for. So July is going to be a good month. And now on to my personal life, which was very fulfilling in June. I did a lot, and so much so that I made my summer bucket list, and look at all this being filled up. We are just living our best life.
In my haste to share all the exciting stuff that happened in June, I forgot about Lord of the Rings weekend that happened the first weekend of June, where we watched the movies as our annual tradition is, and we went to an animal sanctuary. So here's some pictures and videos from that.
Two puppies, even better. Oh, it's a grown-up cute puppy. Before and after. It's before.
Remember, I love my mother just texted me that the salon looks pretty after.
I think I was a goose in a different life. She's kind of like the stern mom that she's right, exactly. She's very sweet and very friendly. You're welcome to pet them.
Yes. Hi, you want Nana? Come here. Oh my goodness. I got no more.
I think I found the bottom.
In the month, I really haven't done much TV or movie watching, but we watched 2 movies. The first was Challengers, which was excellent. Definitely recommend it. It was not the movie I thought it was going to be, and honestly, it was kind of sad, like mentally thinking about like everything, but it was a very well done movie. The acting was incredible. The shots were amazing, so it was fun. I would recommend that. And then we also saw right at the end of the month, The Quiet Place Year One, which I would like to think of it as a slice of life apocalyptic movie, because there's not like a big overarching plot. Like it's the first day that these aliens come to the planet and start killing people. So like nobody knows what to do. And you're just following these 2 characters that happen upon each other and are trying to survive. And that's really all it is. I didn't hate it by any means. My husband, I don't think, liked it as much, but I kind of like slice of life things in like intense situations. Whether it's like a fantasy novel where like things are going on in the background, but we're just focusing on this like drama or family drama. Same thing with the post-apocalyptic. Like we're not really following like people trying to solve the problem. We're just following people who are trying to survive. So I didn't think it was bad, but it was a quieter movie than like the first 2 movies that came before it. And then as far as my bucket list goes, I had a lot of activities I wanted to complete. So I'm going to just read out what I accomplished so far, because there's still things that I didn't get to do. But I went for 1 bike ride in June, and I went for 8 miles, and it felt so good to be on my bike again and just like listening to my audiobook and enjoying nature. I went for, I believe, 4 walks in the month. I have not gone on a real hike yet, but I've been walking in nature and like walking by myself, walking with my dogs, walking with my mom. That's been really nice. I went swimming twice in the month, and I took a day off and just like spent like 4 hours at the pool, which was so nice. Read, brainstormed some writing things, and just swam by myself. It was a beautiful day. I also went on a side-by-side ride with my husband, and I really hope we get to do some more because we only got 1 in the month, but it's been really rainy, so I think that's also a contribution. And then I was supposed to go see Stevie Nicks, but if you follow me on social media, then you may know that somebody, either herself, or her band, but somebody got sick and they canceled 2 minutes before the doors opened. And thank goodness me and my friend still went to the Hershey Park amusement park for the day. So we were down there already. We went on a couple roller coasters. It was so busy, so we only got on 4 rides total. And then we both got ice cream and then tried to like down it so fast because we didn't want to like get stuck in lines at the Stevie Nicks concert. And then we were like, where is everybody? And yeah, Ticketmaster did not send out any notification until 7:30. So the concert was canceled at 5:29. I can't remember. It might have been the Hershey Park Stadium that was the first to announce it. And then later, Stevie Nicks on the page, like their social media, announced it. And then 7:30, they sent emails from Ticketmaster. So yeah, a lot of people were disappointed. The concert was moved to September, so I will still get to see Stevie, but I was really upset that I didn't get to see her that night. But at least we went to Hershey Park and had a nice little day, me and my friend. Then some other fun things we did. I went to a graduation lunch to celebrate my cousin who just graduated from high school. I went to cartoon trivia and we won the free drinks because we won the first 2 rounds. We didn't win it all because I screwed it up. We had the right answer. I said, no, we're talking about kids cartoons, not The Simpsons, not an adult cartoon. And then it was the answer because the people low-key didn't know what they were doing, and they admitted to us afterwards that they didn't have a bonus round question ready. So I was thinking logically, and the people who made the trivia were not. But yeah, we were happy because I'd rather take the free drinks than the winnings total because people had been getting mad at us for the couple weeks we won anyway. But I did have a lot of fun with that, and it's nice just to get out and do some trivia and have a drink, eat dinner. Like, it's nice. We also celebrated me and my friends Litha. We made homemade wine last year for Litha, and then we drank it this year, and it's strong, but it actually tastes kind of like a Chardonnay, and I'm super proud of us. Like, just the fact that we created it and we didn't die. What a win. It was dandelion wine with a little bit of blood orange to sweeten it up a little bit. And yeah, it turned out really well. And then I also went to Camp Pixie where I made this sweet tie-dye shirt. And basically it was an inner child healing retreat where we kind of did a meditation to really work through some of the childhood wounds we had, and then spent the day like being a kid, like so doing tie-dyeing and a paint fight and finger painting and just like bracelet making. So I did that last year. I did it again this year as a guest, and it makes me happy to see how far I've come with my own healing and actually acknowledging where I still need to work through things. Like, I think retreats like this are super important for our own well-being. So whether you want to call it inner child healing or shadow work or just therapy, whatever you're doing to heal those wounds and be a better person, it's always worth it to me. But yeah, that has been my entire month. I had quite a lot going on, and that is in part why I wasn't vlogging. I was just really enjoying my month and what I was able to do. It was just a really nice month to reset and reconnect with myself. With all the chaos that has been going on the last couple years, the last couple months with health and death and dying and travesties, it's been nice just to be like focused on me a little bit and spending time where I can with people and just by myself. So yeah, that was my June. Let me know how June treated you, and let me know your reading or writing plans for July. All right, I will see you guys in the next one. And if you got this far and you have a quote ready, please feel free to share like your favorite quote from a book, because I'm really curious to see like what books or what quotes people love and gravitate towards. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.